Beyond Windsor's ancient walls, past winding lanes lined with wild hedgerows and meadows kissed by the morning sun, lies a place unlike any royal palace you've ever imagined. It is not crowned with marble domes or guarded by gilded gates. Instead, it breathes with the rhythm of the land, a working estate where the scent of fresh hay mingles with the quiet hum of modern farming. Stone barns, their honey-colored walls warm in the soft light, stand shoulder to shoulder with sleek grain silos and regenerative fields. Here, tradition isn't locked away in history. It is alive, evolving, and rooted in the soil. And at the center of it all is a man whose destiny is nothing short of extraordinary, Prince William. But what do these gates really protect? Are they simply the boundaries of a royal property? Or are they the walls behind which the future king shapes his vision for a modern monarchy? Today, we step beyond those gates. We'll explore the royal farm where history meets sustainability, wander the gilded rooms of Adelaide Cottage, and uncover the fortune, the duties, and the personal life of a man preparing to inherit not just a crown, but a legacy. And to truly understand the present, we must journey back to the very beginning, when William's story was still being written under the watchful eyes of a nation and in the loving arms of a mother who would shape him forever. The story begins on a summer evening in London, June 21st, 1982. In a private wing of St. Mary's Hospital, under the watch of an expectant nation, a cry echoed, a sound that would one day carry the weight of a crown. William Arthur Philip Lewis, the firstborn of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, entered the world not in a palace, but in the same hospital where everyday families welcomed their children. Even then, he was already rewriting tradition. From the start, the cameras never strayed far. At just 9 months old, William accompanied his parents on an official tour to Australia and New Zealand, a first for any royal baby. In Auckland, as he sat playing with a simple wooden Buzzy Bee toy, photographers captured the moment. Little did they know, the image would become so iconic it turned that toy into a national symbol. It was an early reminder, whatever William touched seemed destined to leave a mark. His childhood was split between the elegance of Kensington Palace in London and the pastoral charm of Highgrove House in Gloucestershire. Diana, determined to give her sons a life beyond palace walls, took them to theme parks, fast food restaurants, and even shelters for the homeless. She wanted them to see the world in all its beauty and hardship, to grow up with empathy, not entitlement. But in August 1997, everything changed. At just 15, William received the devastating news at Balmoral Castle. His mother had died in a car accident in Paris. The next days were a blur of grief, public mourning, and an unimaginable test of composure. As millions watched, William walked behind his mother's coffin through the streets of London, flanked by his father, grandfather, and younger brother Harry. That slow, heavy march became one of the most searing images of modern royal history. In the years that followed, William channeled his pain into purpose. At Eton College, he earned a reputation for being both academically gifted and fiercely private. His sense of duty deepened, setting the stage for a chapter of service that would define much of his young adult life. After university at St. Andrews, where fate would introduce him to Catherine Middleton, William trained at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst. He joined the Blues and Royals Regiment, serving as a lieutenant alongside Prince Harry, before transferring to the Royal Air Force. There, he trained as a search and rescue helicopter pilot, flying Sea Kings into rough seas and stormy skies, saving lives in some of Britain's most dangerous conditions. His time in uniform wasn't just a job, it was a statement. William was proving he could serve not just as a figurehead, but as a man willing to work under pressure, to lead from the cockpit as well as the ceremonial stage. From the skies, he transitioned into diplomacy. As Duke of Cambridge, he and Catherine toured the Commonwealth and beyond, Canada, Australia, Japan, China, India, meeting leaders, comforting disaster survivors, and strengthening Britain's global ties. Each handshake, each speech, seemed to carry a dual purpose: to honor tradition while gently reshaping it for a new generation. And then, in September 2022, everything shifted again. Queen Elizabeth II passed away. His father became King Charles III, and William, now Prince of Wales, stepped into the role of heir apparent, inheriting not only a title, but the vast Duchy of Cornwall, $1.3 billion worth of land, farms, and income-producing estates. It was a moment steeped in history, yet charged with the challenge of making that history matter in today's world. For the public, this is the William they know, the speeches, the ceremonies, the carefully framed photographs. But away from the red carpets and royal processions, another world exists, one that reveals his personal values, his vision for the future, and the private spaces where the man behind the crown can simply be a husband, a father, and a custodian of the land. And that world begins here, down a winding country lane, where a set of gates opens not to a palace, but to fields, barns, and the heartbeat of a working estate. Royal Farm. The approach to Prince William's royal farm is not a grand, trumpet-blaring affair. It's a slow, deliberate reveal. The kind where every bend in the road feels like peeling back another page of a story you weren't meant to read too quickly. First, the countryside begins to change. Neatly trimmed hedgerows give way to open pastures, the kind painted in 100 shades of green. The horizon stretches far and wide, broken only by the silhouettes of stone barns that have stood watch for generations. And then, just when you think you've seen it all, the heart of the estate emerges, a cluster of honey-colored buildings, their stone walls glowing under the soft British light. Step through the main gate, and the air shifts. There's a rhythm here, a quiet hum of life that has nothing to do with royal pageantry and everything to do with purpose. Modern tractors, polished but clearly used, sit alongside seed drills ready for the next planting. The barns, weathered yet dignified, hold decades of stories within their timber frames. The central courtyard feels almost cinematic. Agricultural sheds stand in harmony with a converted grain store that now serves as a hub for the Duchy of Cornwall's sustainable farming efforts. Inside, polished concrete floors meet open-beamed ceilings, a fusion of rustic tradition and contemporary utility. Along one wall, sacks of freshly harvested wheat, barley, and rye are neatly labeled, a quiet testament to the richness of the land. From here, a narrow track winds toward the open fields. This is where the real magic happens. Wide pastures roll out like a natural tapestry, giving way to carefully planned regenerative plots. In perfectly measured rows, young crops push through dark, compost-rich soil, their vibrant green a striking contrast to the earthy browns around them. At the edge of one field, composting bays stand like sentinels of a quiet revolution, part of William's goal to move the estate toward net-zero production. And then, rising modestly above it all, the farmhouse. It's not the largest building here, but it's the one with the soul. Mullioned windows frame sweeping views of both modern grain silos and sheep grazing lazily on the hill. Inside, the kitchen is the heart of it all. A wood-burning stove crackles softly, the scent of fresh bread drifting through the air. What strikes you most isn't extravagance, but balance. Every corner of the royal farm speaks of a philosophy: respect for the land, investment in the community, and a future built on sustainability. This isn't a royal showpiece. It's a living, breathing part of William's vision for the monarchy. One rooted not in gilded halls, but in the soil itself. And yet, for all its openness, the farm is still a working estate, with duties and visitors and the ever-present link to William's role as Prince of Wales. Which is why, when the family wants to retreat into a truly private world, they go somewhere else, just a short drive away, but a world apart. Adelaide Cottage. In 2022, the gates of Adelaide Cottage swung open to welcome the new chapter in William and Catherine's family life. Nestled deep within the private home park at Windsor, it is a home hidden in plain sight, a stone's throw from Windsor Castle, yet wrapped in such seclusion that the outside world feels a lifetime away. For years, Kensington Palace had been their official residence. But palace life, for all its grandeur, came with the feeling of living inside a glass bowl. Every arrival, every departure, every moment, seen. Adelaide Cottage promised something different. Privacy without distance, heritage without formality. The moment you arrive, the home's history quietly reveals itself. Built in 1831 and named for Queen Adelaide, the wife of King William IV, the four-bedroom residence blends the grace of the past with the intimacy of a family home. Its modest scale, by royal standards, only makes its details more captivating. Step into the main living room and the tone is set. The palette is a soft wash of pastel shades, anchored by gilded furniture that catches the light just so. Against one wall, a Greek-Egyptian marble fireplace commands attention, its stone cool and flawless, surrounded by plush armchairs and carved side tables. Above it, framed portraits and delicate lighting lend an air of personal storytelling, snapshots of a life lived both in public and in treasured private moments. The craftsmanship speaks in quiet whispers. Ornate ceiling moldings frame the room, while fresh flowers and carefully chosen arrangements bring life and color to the corners. Elsewhere, tall columns and marble details stand as a reminder that this is still a home within the royal estate, regal but never cold. A second sitting room offers something different, a touch of Victorian grandeur. Heavy tapestries hang over a monumental stone fireplace, their woven scenes echoing centuries past. The seating is generous and deep, upholstered in earthy tones that wrap the space in warmth. In the study, sunlight spills through floor-to-ceiling windows, framing a view of the garden beyond, an expanse of manicured lawns that feel like a private Eden. Velvet-upholstered chairs in golden hues invite hours of quiet reading or reflection, while shelves lined with books and framed photographs speak of family and legacy. The bedrooms are havens of comfort. In one, a canopy bed draped in floral fabrics dominates the space, paired with matching curtains and plush throws. The look is refined but intimate, more country retreat than ceremonial suite. Every room at Adelaide Cottage balances two worlds, the tradition of its royal past and the modern ease of the young family who lives here. It's a space that feels lived in, loved, and, most importantly, protected from the ever-present gaze of the public. But behind these closed doors lies another story, one told not in architecture or gardens, but in numbers. Because to maintain such homes and to carry out royal duties on a global stage requires a fortune worthy of a future king. For most people, wealth is built slowly, years of work, careful savings, maybe a few bold investments. For Prince William, the story is different. His financial journey began with both legacy and loss. When Princess Diana and Prince Charles divorced, Diana received a settlement of $24 million, about $40 million in today's money after inflation. After her tragic death in 1997, that sum was placed in trust for William and Harry, to be inherited on their 25th birthdays. By the time they each turned 30, the value of that trust had grown so significantly that William personally received around $20 million. It was the foundation of his private fortune. Wealth tied not to titles, but to his mother's determination to provide for her sons. Yet this inheritance is only a fraction of William's financial reach today. In September 2022, after Queen Elizabeth II's passing and King Charles III's accession, William became the Duke of Cornwall. With that title came stewardship of the Duchy of Cornwall, a private estate founded in 1337 to support the heir to the throne. Stretching across more than 130,000 acres, the duchy encompasses farmland, commercial properties, and residential holdings across England and Wales. Its value? over $1.3 billion. The duchy isn't just an asset, it's an income engine. In his first year as Duke of Cornwall, William received $30 million from its profits. This income supports his official duties, funds the running of his household, and allows for significant charitable contributions. And there's more. Royal duties also bring certain allowances, though the Prince of Wales is expected to use his duchy income to cover much of his work. Add to that smaller streams from ceremonial military roles, personal investments, and the occasional windfall from family estates, and the picture becomes clear. William's finances are as secure as the centuries-old system that supports them. Today, his net worth is estimated at around $120 million. It's a figure that underpins not only his lifestyle, maintaining multiple residences, raising a family in comfort, traveling for state duties, but also his ability to fund personal causes and environmental projects that align with his vision for a modern monarchy. But with wealth comes expectation. In the royal world, fortunes are not meant to sit idle. They must be put to work, for country, for community, and for the causes that define a reign. And for William, that responsibility has shaped a philanthropic portfolio as ambitious as it is heartfelt. Philanthropy. For Prince William, philanthropy isn't a ceremonial duty. It's a thread woven through his life from the very beginning. Long before he could make official speeches or sign off on million-pound grants, he was walking beside his mother, Princess Diana, through the doors of AIDS clinics and homeless shelters. She wanted her sons to see the world unfiltered, to meet people who had been forgotten by society, and to understand that privilege means nothing without compassion. That early exposure became the foundation of a lifelong commitment. In 2007, on the 10th anniversary of Diana's passing, William and Harry organized the Concert for Diana, a star-studded tribute that raised millions for charities their mother supported. It was both a public celebration and a personal promise that they would carry forward her mission. Over the years, William's focus has crystallized into key areas: mental health, homelessness, environmental conservation, and supporting the armed forces. Through the Royal Foundation, which he co-leads with Catherine, he has spearheaded campaigns like Heads Together, breaking down the stigma around mental health, and Earthshot Prize, a global award that funds innovative environmental solutions. Perhaps one of his most ambitious projects is Homewards, launched in 2023 after 2 years of planning. Its goal is as bold as it is clear: to make homelessness rare, brief, and unrepeated in the UK. Working with local councils, charities, and private partners, William has committed resources from the Duchy of Cornwall to fund housing and early intervention programs, tangible steps toward ending a problem often spoken about, but rarely addressed at scale. In conservation, William's efforts have extended far beyond photo opportunities with endangered species. He has worked with the Tusk Trust to support anti-poaching operations in Africa, launched the United for Wildlife Transport Task Force to combat illegal wildlife trafficking, and used his global platform to advocate for stricter penalties against traffickers. His philanthropic work often reflects a blend of royal tradition and personal conviction. Whether it's visiting flood victims in the Caribbean, funding mental health services for farmers in Cornwall, or supporting veterans' rehabilitation, the projects bear his signature balance of empathy and practicality. And yet, perhaps the most telling aspect of his charitable work is how deeply personal it remains. Many initiatives are long-term, structured not as one-time donations but as sustained partnerships. It's philanthropy designed to outlast headlines, to create a legacy that, like the duchy lands he stewards, will endure for generations. But even future kings need a life beyond official engagements and charity galas. And away from the cameras, in the quieter moments, William's private world tells us just as much about the man as his public work does. Personal life. Behind the public titles and formal ceremonies, Prince William's daily life is far more grounded than most would expect of a future king. At Adelaide Cottage, mornings often begin quietly. The kitchen hums with the sound of a kettle, sunlight filtering through tall windows as the scent of fresh coffee fills the air. Catherine might be preparing breakfast for the children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, while William helps pack school bags or chats with them about the day ahead. Their home in Windsor allows for a kind of freedom they never truly had in London. Here, the family can take long walks through the home park without worrying about photographers. The children can run across the lawns, explore woodland paths, and play in gardens that echo with laughter rather than protocol. Weekends often see William at the royal farm, checking in on crops, chatting with workers, and teaching his children about the land he will one day pass on to them. It's a lifestyle that blends royal heritage with his personal belief in sustainability and stewardship. The farm isn't just part of his job, it's a classroom for the next generation. Friends describe William as warm, quick-witted, and loyal to those in his inner circle. Despite a schedule that pulls him across the globe, he makes time for private dinners, casual catch-ups, and the occasional football match. He remains a dedicated Aston Villa supporter and has been spotted more than once cheering in the stands, sometimes with George by his side, already wearing the team's colors. Travel still plays a role in his life, though it's often balanced between duty and personal enjoyment. Family skiing trips to the Alps, discreet summer holidays on the coast, and visits to remote conservation projects weave together a rhythm of work and rest. And then there are the quieter passions: motorcycling, an interest he shares with his brother Harry, polo matches for charity, and evenings spent reading or planning new initiatives for the causes he champions. For all the demands of royal life, William has carved out a world where family comes first, where his children's laughter matters as much as any speech from a palace balcony. It's a delicate balance: public responsibility on one hand, private contentment on the other, and it's a balance he seems determined to keep, because one day soon the weight of the crown will rest on his head. But for now, in the shelter of Adelaide Cottage and the rolling fields of Windsor, he remains simply William, husband, father, steward of the land, and a man quietly shaping the future of the monarchy. From the working heartbeat of the royal farm to the gilded heritage of Adelaide Cottage, Prince William's life is a tapestry woven from tradition, responsibility, and a vision for the future. We've walked through his fields, stepped into his living rooms, and glimpsed the balance he strikes between royal duty and family life. But perhaps the most fascinating truth is this: every decision he makes today is shaping the kind of king he will be tomorrow. So, which part of Prince William's world surprised you the most? Was it the sustainability vision of his farm, the elegance of his Windsor home, or the legacy of wealth and philanthropy behind it all? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed stepping inside this royal life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more stories behind the gates.